Welcome to 50 Shades of Shilamida, the podcast where nothing is off limits. As a multidimensional sovereign mom, partner, CEO, serial entrepreneur, speaker, and best-selling author, I am on a mission to help more women and men become fully embodied in their sovereignty and power so they can live their truth, speak it unapologetically, and live a life free from the matrix. Each week, I will bring you episodes that will awaken you, inspire you to think outside of the box, and step into the leader that you know that you are. The world needs more people who are walking their talk and unafraid to stand in their truth, and I'm here as your guide to help you do just that.
Thank you for being here. For those of you that have been here with me for the last 7 weeks, thank you so much. I love you guys. I appreciate all the support. I am having fun having these conversations with you. My plan to talk about today was to talk about opportunity. As an American, we don't realize how much opportunity we have here. We take it for granted. I went to a business conference many years ago, and Gene Simmons talked about how if you are an American and you don't own a business, that you are actually missing out on the opportunity here. And he's totally right. And he went through the excuses that people had of, I don't have time. But in the year, you have 365 days. And if you work a job Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, then you have from 5 until whenever, and you have the weekends. And it's a choice to decide to create your own business. But not only is there opportunity, there's benefits of that. And that's what people don't really understand in our political system, is that being a business owner in the United States of America gives you not only opportunity with what you can create, but it also gives you tax breaks on writing things off like supplies and the stuff that you use for your business, and travel expenses if you go to conferences and you go to meetings with clients. And there's all kinds of different ways to maximize the opportunity of being a business owner. And I think that it's really important as women to know and understand that each one of us possess a skill set that is able to make us $1 million if that's what we want to make. But not everybody out there has a mission and a goal to be a millionaire, and that's okay. But financial freedom changes your whole world, right? So maybe you don't need to fly on private jets or drive a Ferrari, let's say, but maybe you want to have a cleaning lady come once a week or once every other week. Or maybe you would love to have a date night with your husband and you want to be able to afford a babysitter. Or maybe you want to take a road trip, but gas prices going up is going to prevent you from doing that. So it's important to know that we are always able to make money. Like when I was on food stamps, I hustled. And I needed to collect in order to have something steady. But what you need to know about the government system is you have to lie, cheat, borrow, and steal in order to be able to actually survive on the government system, because the salaries that they put in place for you to collect is so low, it's impossible to survive in Bergen County, New Jersey. So I had to get really creative with how to make money. And now I see a lot of times people post online, and I throw things out there. Like I used to do focus groups. I used to do mystery shopping. I used to do massage. That I had to get schooling for. But there's so many things and there's so many opportunities out there for you to make a little bit of side hustle, cash, money. And we need to also remember that we need to keep cash as a part of our society. I know that the world of Venmo and Zelle and PayPal is just so easy. And if you're a germaphobe, you definitely don't want to touch the money. I totally get that and understand that concept as well. But what we need to remember is that there's people out there that are really struggling, and the cash really makes the difference to move yourself ahead. If everything is in an electronic system, the electronic system can get cut off at any time. So we just saw this happen, and maybe some of you didn't see this happen because you're not paying attention to what's happening in the world. But in Canada, for the trucker convoy, they actually shut off the truckers' bank accounts and their credit cards, so their wives at home couldn't even go shopping for their children. And it's absolutely horrifying that a government could do that. But it's even more horrifying that could happen in the United States of America. But that is the reality of the world that we're living in. And when I made the decision to join the trucker convoy, that's a conversation we actually had to have in my house. What happens if they freeze my bank account? It's like a reality because it happened right next door. And even though Canada is a different country and all the things are different there, it's really right next door. And you would just never think that would happen, right? Like you would never think that you would have to worry about that happening here. And we sat with our financial team last night and we brought that to their attention, and they were like, that could never happen here in the United States of America. And we think that could never happen here in the United States of America. But the reality of it is that if we don't wake up as a society and we don't pay attention to the bills that are coming down the pipeline and the things that they are presenting every single day behind closed doors, that you are in your ignorant bliss bubble, living your life, not paying attention to, things are going to change, and things are going to change really fast. Just like we see all of these changes that just happened with the mask coming off, it's like really wild how like overnight everything shifted. Like you could have just feel the shift here, but people are still doing it. They're still complying. And I just don't get it at this point. It's like when I was first in the medical freedom movement and pre-COVID, when we were fighting for religious exemption in the state of New Jersey, I pardoned people. Like I could understand. You never had an experience with a vaccine injury. You don't really get what people are talking about. You don't understand someone else's trauma until you lived in that trauma. But when we started this whole COVID thing in 2020, I was like, oh my God, thank God that this is happening because people will start to wake up. They're going to be able to see it now. But then people didn't see it. And the radio ads were saying safe and effective, and the commercials are saying safe and effective. And there is nothing safe and effective by injecting toxins and heavy metals into your body, ever. Think about it. They don't let pregnant women eat tuna fish because there's mercury in it, but they'll inject a pregnant woman with the flu shot that has mercury in it. So please explain it to me. Explain it to me. Somebody's got to explain it to me, make it make sense. Because to me, it's so obvious, but I understand that I detached from my cognitive dissonance a long time ago. But what I don't understand is it's been 2 years. That's crazy. Do you guys remember? It was 2 weeks to flatten the curve. 2 weeks turned to 2 years. Things need to change, but how do things change when people are just not waking up? So my best advice to you right now is really tuning in and figuring out what is it that would really make you happy and joyful for the rest of your life. If you are living in a place right now where you are just like, I don't know, if I could just have a little bit of this or a little bit of that, or if I could just move here, or if this opportunity could just come my way. Like if you really sat down and thought about it, can you tap into the desire? Because the opportunity is available for us all. We are all living in the same paradigm right now of what's attainable. It's just a matter of how much information are you allowing yourself to receive in order to make these shifts and changes. I made a post yesterday. Last night I did a before and after of what I looked like 14 years ago at this time. And the change in the shift is profound beyond the obvious weight loss, but the shift in the change in my appearance and how I seem to be aging backwards. And it's because when I was that person 14 years ago, I ate out of a package. I ate things that were like macaroni and cheese. I didn't even grow up on macaroni and cheese. Do you know that when I was in college and I had a babysitting job, they asked me to make Hamburger Helper, and I had to call my friends because this was before the land of YouTube. I had to call my friends because I couldn't even call my mom. My mom wouldn't even know what Hamburger Helper was. And they had to walk me through it, and I was so disgusted by what I was creating. But mac and cheese, man, I did love me some mac and cheese. But I grew up in an immigrant house with Russian food. So when I went out into the American world, for me was McDonald's, pizza, Subway, all the stuff that they sell on the shelf, right? Like, who really likes fruits and vegetables if you don't know what the heck to do with fruits and vegetables, right? Like, they're not the best when they're just bland and blah. But we have grown up in a society that has conditioned us and has trained us to eat like crap. And now in 2022, the marketing of what they're creating, what they've created, they're now supporting by the marketing, right? Like before on advertisements, you would have beautiful, thin women. We went from one extreme to the other, right? Because I say beautiful, thin women, but I remember a time where the women were too thin, where it was like, oh, that's not like the normal average size. But then we started changing the model of who appears before us, and we have a semi-healthy looking person, and now all of the ads are plus size. They are not the average person walking around, but I guess maybe they are the average person walking around. Because, you know, in Nashville this weekend, and Ben always drives this point when he talks with me, is that 54% of our children have chronic illness. 54%. And I heard over the weekend that there was another study that actually said that it was 86% of the children. And I don't doubt it, because we are injecting them with 72 doses of metal, of poison into their little human bodies. And they just don't need that. And then on top of that, we are feeding them garbage, right? You are feeding them goldfish that has food dye in it. You are feeding them wheat. You are feeding them corn syrup that is just, it's genetically modified garbage. Everything is sprayed by Monsanto. The brands that are appearing to be healthy or quote unquote organic, even they aren't. It's, if you're not really vigilant, you're not really paying attention. And I know that people are going to roll their eyes and shrug their shoulders and sigh and be like, I'm fine, I'm surviving. But truly, you're hurting inside. There's very little people that I know that could 100% tell me that they are living happy, fulfilled lives right now. And it's not about the money in their bank account, but it's just they don't feel good in their body. They don't feel good in their mind. They're not living out the life that they want to be living. They're not doing the stuff that they were meant to do because they've been put into this matrix, in this hamster wheel of what life is supposed to be like. And they can't step out of their comfort zone in order to get to a place where they're just happy with themselves. And so we give in and we just do what everybody does. And we just allow for this to take over. I remember when I first went gluten-free, not when I first went gluten-free, it was probably years into going gluten-free. And I went on a girls' weekend, and the woman that organized the weekend reached out to me and said, she was my friend. She wasn't just a woman. She said to me, your gluten-free, dairy-free is really a pain in the ass. Can you just not do that for this weekend? Can you just be like everybody else? And I was like, no. The fact that she even had the audacity to ask me to do that, it's like, why does my food eating interrupt yours? I don't make it a big deal. I always call ahead, make sure that I'm taken care of. If not, I'm fully capable of feeding myself, of bringing my own food. But why would I ever listen to somebody else about my health? And I encounter a lot of people who tell me that they're gluten-free and they're dairy-free, and I'll ask them the question, when you go out to dinner or when you order out, do you tell them that you're gluten and dairy-free? And they're like, no. So then you're really not gluten and dairy-free, just so you know. Because if you're not telling the person that's cooking your food that you are gluten and dairy-free, you really have no idea what they're putting in your food. Like in Ohio, they actually put sour cream in guacamole. Would you ever in your life think that sour cream belonged in guacamole? And it wasn't even on the menu. That's the craziest part. So you think that you're ordering properly based on what you're reading on the menu. But the first time that I discovered this was when Ben Lover and I first went gluten-free. We went out to dinner, and he ordered the healthiest thing on the menu, which was a pan-seared tilapia. And he thought that it was okay. And I pulled aside the waitress and I said, he's gluten and dairy free as well. And she was like, oh, that has gluten on it. We put flour on it in order for us to pan-sear it. So people would do that, but you really don't know. These really good chefs, they're putting all kinds of stuff into your food to make it that much better and to have really good taste and flavor. So you have to advocate for yourself always. It never fails. I go to a wedding, I go to a party, there's a buffet, everybody's got some kind of something smothered in cheese and flour and breadcrumbs, and then to my table comes like a beautiful grilled chicken and fresh vegetables and like food that looks good, and people are coming up to me asking me how I got that. And the way that I got that is because I advocate for myself. I step out of my comfort zone of wanting to fit in and hurting myself for the day, because that's going to hurt me if I choose to eat that way. I'm not going to feel good. So why would I conform to somebody else? And it's just like the opportunities that are coming at us every day. We are getting shown business opportunities. We are getting shown product opportunities. We are getting shown mentorship opportunities. We are being shown volunteer opportunities. Every single day, if you are on social media, you are being shown opportunities. But we are so disconnected to that because we are stuck where we are. If somebody would have told me to go gluten-free 15 years ago, I probably wouldn't have done it. Pure Haven was presented to me many times before, but it wasn't the right time in my life. It wasn't the right presentation. It wasn't the right motivation. So I never hooked onto it. But this year, I had two main goals this year with my life and my business. And my two main goals was, one, to clean up my house. Because as much as I talk about clean eating and clean living and cleaning up your mind and all of the things, there are still toxic things in my house. And a lot of times you don't realize. You just don't realize the toxicity. You're shopping at TJ Maxx. You want to pick up that lotion. Like, you just can't help it. And I'm the same way. Like, sometimes I just can't help it. But I have a pile sitting in my bathroom right now, and I'm a little bit horrified. People don't know things like tampons. They're so toxic. If you buy the ones that are sitting on the drugstore and they're not organic, cotton is also genetically modified. It is sprayed with chemicals, and then we're putting that inside of us. We're using cleaning products in our house that are completely toxic. Now, years ago, I switched my cleaning products to essential oils, and the health of my family changed tremendously. It was incredible to see how it shifted so much, because I had no idea that the soaps that I was using every day, and remember, I was an acupuncturist seeing patients every 15 to 30 minutes, so I was washing my hands all of the time. And when you're washing your hands with soaps that have dyes in them, soaps that have beadlets in them, soaps that have all kind of things in them, you're actually putting this chemical compound into your body. And I think it takes something like 29 seconds for a chemical to break the blood barrier of your skin in order to get into the blood. So we don't think about these things because we think that they're safe because they're sold at your local supermarket or at your local drugstore, and they've been approved by agencies like the FDA. But as we're seeing, or as I hope that you could see in this whole entire situation, these government agencies like the CDC, the WHO, the FDA, they do not have your best interest at heart. They have the best interest at heart of the pharmaceutical companies. And it's the same thing with the companies. I did a post on greenwashing the other day, and a lot of people were super shocked with some of the products that were on there, and so am I. But what happens is these companies, they get really successful in what they're doing, and then they sell themselves out to one of these bigger companies that then comes in and starts changing the ingredients. And because you are a loyal customer, you're not checking ingredients all the time. It never fails. I want you to know, and I love Trader Joe's, but it never fails. If they have an item missing off of the shelf for more than a couple of weeks, they are changing the ingredients on them. And one of the things that I think we need to fight for in legislation is for informed consent and transparency on stuff like that, because people get brand conscious and they have a brand loyalty, and companies know that, and they do it in their marketing. So you'll notice a lot of your, I'll call them poo-poo brands, like the brands that are Monsanto sprayed, they're changing their labeling to organic, or they're more beige, and they're making themselves look like they're more green, but they're not actually. If you go and you check the ingredients, I have had companies coming after me for months now because my goal this year was to take everything off of Amazon. I really want to stop supporting Jeff Bezos, but it's so hard. Amazon is a total addiction. As much as I try to not order from them, like I'll have a party or an event and like the 24 hours or 48 hours, it makes the whole difference in what I'm trying to accomplish. So whatever. I am looking for more local. I am looking to support American companies, because right now importing stuff from other countries is not helping us. And this is a really important time that we stick together as Americans and try to help our own. I'm not saying that we shouldn't help other countries. I've been doing my part for the Ukraine. I've been doing my part I have clients that are across the globe. I have people that follow me. I have fan base in other countries. So I love every country, and I want to support every country out there. But for right now, my mission and my goal is to support American-made companies and to try to keep some of the money here, because we're suffering so badly. And there's so many up-and-coming companies. There's so many people who are making their own products, who are growing their own crops, who are bringing organic, the real meaning behind organic now, because we've come away from that as a society. My second goal for this year was to bring wealth into the hands of women. As an acupuncturist, when I had women come to me who were stay-at-home moms, their underlying condition was that they were depressed. They a lot of times weren't able to admit to that full force, but somewhere deep down inside, they knew it, because they had a lot of guilt, right? There's guilt about being able to stay home. There's guilt about being able to live a leisurely life. There's guilt around having to do things that you maybe don't want to do. There's guilt around having to ask your husband for permission to do things. So I really think that it's important for women to be able to stand on their own 2 feet. And especially in the society of what's happening right now, you have to be able to shift given moment in time, because you just don't know what's going to happen. And part of, my message right now is to help people to awaken to, you don't have to do what society has trained you to do. You don't have to go to traditional schools. You don't have to go to college. You don't have to go work for somebody 9 to 5. You don't have to be miserable in your everyday life. You don't have to depend on your health insurance. You don't have to go to a doctor at every interval. You are able to bring health and wellness into your home. I teach classes called Dr. Mom, because over the last 10 plus years as an acupuncturist, I have learned how to use things like honey, garlic, apple cider vinegar, oregano as actual medicine, as an antibiotic. I haven't had to take anyone in my family to a doctor in years. I can't tell you the last time somebody was on an antibiotic. And I have a vaccine child. So the processes of what I had to go through to learn what I needed to learn wasn't easy, but this information is available to all. And one of the first things that we could do for ourselves is give ourselves financial freedom, because one of the first excuses that I hear when I tell people to buy organic or to clean up the products in their homes or to use an essential oil, the thing is always, oh, but it's too expensive and I can't afford that. But you're talking to somebody who is on food stamps. So I completely get it. I was driving by CVS the other day. One of my leisurely pastimes was to go into CVS with my coupons and see how many things I could get for free or close to free. But I was buying toxic chemical garbage. It was pure toxic chemical garbage. And my health was reflective of that. I always had chronic illness. I had 13 sinus infections in 1 year. I had gut issues out the gazoo. I am a human being just like you. So if you're listening to this and you're like, I just can't do this, it starts with one thing at a time. You make one shift and change in your life at a time. My best advice for you today is start reading labels. Acquaint yourself with the ingredients in the things that you're eating and putting into your body. If there's food dye, if there's coloring, it is not good for you. Things that you cannot pronounce, it is not good for you. If there's 100 small print ingredients, it is not good for you. If you start with that rule of thumb and then start bringing in one thing at a time, it is going to make all the difference. And if you're able to go after your passion and connect to that desire and know that you can bring some kind of income into your home all on your own without being dependent on your husband or a partner, this is the most empowerment I could give you. I love it. Thank you again. For those of you that are interested, take a look at Pure Haven. It's purehaven.com/Shilamida, SHILAMIDA. If you are listening to the replay, please leave a review and a 5-star if you loved it. Share it with your friends. If you want to find me, Shilamida, on social media, I am on Facebook, Pinterest, YouTube, Instagram. We will continue this conversation and add a whole lot more. My monthly masterclasses are interactive, so you can ask questions. We could do live coaching, and they're really a lot of fun. Thank you to Pure Haven for trying to clean up our world and make this a healthier, safer place to be. I'm super grateful to be aligned with this mission and to really be aligned with my goals this year and to help women, to empower them to know that the opportunity is there for all. And even the men out there, I love you guys too. Thank you. Take a moment to be grateful. Take a moment to take a deep breath, center into this moment, focus forward into the future. I love you and have the most amazing day ever.
Thank you so much for listening to 50 Shades of Shilamida. Your support means the world to me, and most of all, I love knowing that these episodes are creating massive impact in your life. Love the episode, share the love on social media, and tag me at 50 Shades of Shilamida, and let us know your favorite takeaway. Subscribe, rate, and review the podcast on Apple Podcasts, as it helps us get into the ears and hearts of more listeners who need our message and be entered to win some incredible prizes. I am so grateful for you. Thank you.